We are live with Jake the Fallen Founder. The Phoenix Suns do take on the Clippers tonight. Come away with a victory, 111-109. Jake, man, are the Suns back? What's going on right now?
No.
No? Are they close to
I
it?
don't know. We beat a good team, a slightly better than us team. I don't know if we're back. We almost blew it.
Yeah,
I was
true.
hydrating tonight. Now I switched to whiskey in the fourth quarter.
Okay, so you're already on whiskey. It came to that, right? Because the Suns, they did hold a pretty good lead. Just like last game, where they kind of let up against the Wizards. Same thing happened tonight, but this time it's a Clippers, so it's a little bit better. It's a little bit more of an excuse there with this team ahead of them in the standings. I'm just happy they came away with the victory, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's now I'm trying not to get false hope, right? Because I feel like we've been
Yeah.
down this primrose path before. But hey, best win since the Pistons win. Because we just had the Nets and the Wizards before that. This is a quality win, and we got the T-Wolves coming up. If we start to build on those kind of wins, then I'm going to sit there and say, hey, okay, maybe we're turning the corner. But it's been a rough month and a half, so it's kind of like, I'm just going to let the win sit for now. We got the win. I feel good. It's a good thing.
No, I feel good too. I predicted an 11-point win tonight, and they had that. They let go of it, but maybe that's like the next thing they take on as a Suns team. It's just closing these teams out and just not letting it get down to the nitty gritty to the very end to where we're just kind of clenching our butt cheeks. Let's get into the pod. I am in a little bit of a different setup tonight. We'll explain that when we kick the pod off. But you got whiskey. That's it. You're not popping anything else open.
I got water too because I was hydrated.
I got water. Yeah, I got water too. That's all I drink. Actually, I've been drinking a lot of beer lately, but we'll talk about that too later.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
That's right. The Suns won again, 111-109. Doesn't end the way you really want it to end, but the wins right now is all that matters until we get to the trade deadline, until we actually figure out this roster in full, maybe getting rid of Bradley Beal, maybe keeping him. But right now, the Suns are looking pretty good, right? There's a little bit more confidence in that team, there's a little bit more ease. Obviously, after the Dirk comments talking about the chaos, the Suns have been playing better. And he's still sitting on the bench with his hoodie on, so we can just ignore him, I guess, going forward. But let me go ahead and ask the first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Well, Jake, my first question is: do you pay your cable bill, your bill, your internet bill, usually on time?
Yeah, it's on
Usually?
autopay. Why is it bad?
Yeah, no. It's actually it's a me thing, right? It's not you, it's me. So tonight my internet was not working, and I tried to figure it out for like the second half of the game. I was watching the game because I have the antenna, but I did lose connection to the internet, and I was like, "What's the deal? What's going on?" And it was because I didn't pay my bill. So I had to rush over. I am currently at my girlfriend's house while she's on the bed sitting next to me doing this podcast. I got here just in the nick of time, listening to John Bloom on the way here. But I'm here. If you guys notice, I have a different background tonight, and I'm using my phone while I have my computer on my lap. So we're still going live. I'm glad to hear that you have a good credit score and you pay your bills. But my first question actually is: John likes to ask when you thought this game was over, when you thought the Suns actually had the victory. Did you see that in this game? I know it was towards the end; it got a little bit crazy. But was there a time in this game where you just felt like the Suns had it?
Yeah, no, it was with 0 seconds left and the full court shot missed. That's when I knew the Suns had won this game. This was not a comfortable game towards the end, as the Clippers had 10 in a row, and made it a very competitive game with Kawhi Leonard sitting on the bench, mind you, which is a whole nother issue. And why, I don't know, did we just decide to move away from Nick Richards during this game at some point, and that we're just going to let the Plum Dog, I don't know, Coach loves the Plum Dog. I'm not quite sure why. I'm not sure what he's bringing to the team. Is this Jaron Collins 2.0, just the wily vet getting playing time on this Suns team? And we're just like, oh, he does stuff. Got to keep him in there during crunch time. But I'm going to keep coming back to this throughout the night. We got the win. That's the important thing. And I love that your girlfriend probably thought you were coming over to spend time with her, and you're like, actually, so I can catch the rest of the game. So.
Yeah, no, she understands that, I'm short on money. I am behind on bills, and, she is my sugar mama. So let's talk about our new favorite Phoenix Suns player.
Vicky, the great Nick Richards. Richard means Dick, that's why he's Vicky, the great Nick Richards.
So Nick Richards, yeah, they ended with Plum Dog ending the fourth quarter, ending the game. So Nick Richards in the second half, he had the only 6 minutes played. He had 0 points, only the 2 rebounds. So he was kind of pulled. He had the four personal fouls. So usually when that happens, right, you want to sit the guy, maybe bring him in towards the end to end the game. But it seemed like a game where, Nick Richards, obviously he's been an impact, right? We're 4-1 now with him in the lineup, starting coming off the bench. He's the guy for sure. He makes a difference. But in a game like this with Zubac, there is a guy that we kind of want maybe on the court at times to come off the bench, right? We're not sure with what's going on with Nurk and this whole situation with him kind of like there's chaos. He doesn't like the coach. He's not talking to the coach. He's upset about being benched. But do you see, I'm not going to play his drop, but do you see like a game like this where Nurk comes in and he kind of just makes a difference? I feel like he does good against guys like Zubac. I'm not going to actually go into the stats or anything in comparison because my internet went out, so I was rushing. Because that was one thing I wanted to do. I want to look up how he does against Zubac. So Jamsters at home, if you can look that up, let me know if I'm wrong. But did you feel like he could have just helped us maybe 15 to 20 minutes in this game coming off the bench?
Well, I've never soured on Nurk. I think there is a role for him on this team.
Me too.
I just don't, it sounds like the communication is broken down beyond repair. It's unfortunate. I put out a tweet about halfway through the game comparing Nurk to the Star Wars, the Emperor, just sitting back with his hood up being like, let the hate flow through you.
I thought you were going to say Jabba the Hutt, but yeah.
No, he's a big guy, but it's because he's got his hood on so tight. But I was curious how he was reacting, and every time his team did something good, you'd see him kind of sit there with his head down, and he'd go, yes. And I'm like, he's plotting something. This is the end of the Republic. He's going to steal the Senate. Jar Jar Binks, where the hell are you when we need you? No, I would love for him to come in as the enforcer. As that backup too at this point. I don't need to see more Plumlee to know what Plumlee's limitations are. And Nurk can use 6 fouls and his 300 pounds and 7 foot tall height to mess some people up if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And so I just, it sounds like he doesn't want to do it. Sounds like Coach Bud does not want to do that. Bud loves himself some Plumlee. This might be a Monty Williams, Landry Shamet type experience where we're just like, I don't know why he keeps going to him, but he does. And so who knows? Maybe those guys like to, watch the same movies on the jet together. So
maybe they have that bond, and if you have that bond, it's hard to lose that guy. So you want to stay committed and you want to play him in games because on the way back home, you want to make sure you have your buddy to watch movies with.
Exactly.
So we'll settle on that because nothing else really makes sense with this team. No. Absolutely not, right?
No,
I think the way that Dirk's handling this is like very unprofessional, but obviously he's a guy that believes he's a starter, and to go to the bench, it's a hit to the ego. He didn't handle it in the right situation, but when I'm watching this game, obviously someone put in the comments here that Plumlee was a plus 22 tonight. So we'll give Saul Soto credit on that. And Nick was a Nick Richards, Big Dick Nick was negative 16. So for what that's worth, if you guys follow the plus minus, a lot of us don't. I look at it if I want to put like a player as a player of the game, I'll use the plus minus. But looking at that, you just know that for sure that Nick Richards is definitely a guy that we love. But also, is that a real hat or is it AI hat?
right.
Oh, okay, because your background looked like it was a little crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Since people in the
Okay.
chat are getting mad and thinking I work for the European Space Agency. So
Oh, okay. It's funny because I actually had my work jacket on too. I took
no,
it off.
I was working late
Yeah.
tonight. I'm sorry, everybody.
No, yeah.
I gotta
What was
pay
the
the
last thing I
internet
can
bill.
grab? But we'll talk about the Suns. So I think that we're always going to talk about the center position, right, moving forward. And it's always going to be kind of disgruntled. We're always going to have guys that really aren't filling the role completely up to the level that we believe it should be filled. But we have a couple guys that you can fill in there, and it's up to the rest of the team. I feel like to figure things out, hit big shots, get some team rebounds. Because first half, I mean, the Suns out rebounded the Clippers. I know the Clippers had 26 plus points in the paint, which was unstoppable at times. Like Nick Richards was actually giving up a lot of space in the paint, giving up good positioning, which was actually really, really hard to watch at times. So this is the way it's going to be, right, with him. It's going to be up and down. It's going to be game to game. It's not going to be the best. He comes off the 2019 game, but then he has kind of a downer game. And I'm not going to always look at the stats, but I'm looking at just the wins. We have these guys that are just in there to do just enough right now to we can maybe figure something else out. But right now they're doing just enough, right, to get us the victories.
100%. Well, and I think it's funny because what was the big knock on Nurk for a while was, well, look how much we're paying him, and that's the result we get. And Nick Richards is getting paid $5 million, so he can have a crap game. This, for all the salary cap wizards out there that are be like, oh, well, he's still very productive for price per rebound. But I think Nick Richards played well. I'm surprised he got pulled on, maybe get pulled a muscle or something, and went into halftime that way. But the difference that I noticed with Nick Richards. It is kind of amusing to me when I see towards the end of the game and all the Suns players stood up. You see Bol, standing next to Nurk, standing next to Oso. Nick Richards was there too. You've got basically 4 7-footers that are all just sitting there and just like, oh, we're not going in. Plumlee's still there. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, play one of those other guys that you have. Come on, but like, there's got to be an idea here. Don't get me wrong. Plumlee is a great reserve center right now in his career. It seemed to me that there was better options. But what Nick Richards is bringing to this team that I didn't know he was going to bring was the athleticism, the kind of the lateral movement that when a shot goes up, and you guys have kind of talked about this before, you and John, that Nurk, if he's not in position, he just kind of flails his arms, he reaches for it. If he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it. If it comes right towards him, he's got it. He's ripping it away from somebody else. Nick can kind of move to where the shot's going to go. And he did that a couple times. He kind of moved quickly to get out there, and he's bigger than Oso, so he can kind of hang out there in the paint a little bit more comfortably. So Nick Richards has been very impressive to me. We had him, and so far we've lost, 1 game since he's been here, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. It's
the Cavaliers game.
Yep.
Because he joined us during the Pistons game. So it's the Pistons win, Cavs loss, Nets win, Wizards win, Clippers win. So you're right. No, I'm not going to look at the stats all the time. I don't expect Nick Richards to show up and dominate, with like a 20-20 all the time. But not problem solved. But, certainly a worry has been reduced. I'll put it that way. That Nick Richards says, like, now we're looking at, okay, now who are we going to get on the wing? Like, as if we've, fixed the problem enough to move forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem for a little bit. And I think that I had to point out one play today. We'll move on from the center position because I feel like we spent way too much time on it. But I guess
we love a big man in the valley.
Because that's the one thing that's like stirring up all the drama is our center position. So we're always going to talk about this. But the one play where Plumlee was fed the ball on a fast break and he had the behind the back pass to Kevin Durant, who fumbled it away. It was behind him a little bit. And Durant landed on the floor and he just started yelling at Plumlee right away, like, shoot the fucking ball, right? Do you remember that play? Were you present?
No. Yeah,
Oh.
maybe I missed that one.
So I was going to ask you, like, I was going to save it for Kevin Durant's drop, but I mean, is he always just yelling at Plumlee always? Like, he lets everything out on Plumlee, and I feel bad. Like, he's the one guy that he just it's always the white centers. Always. All right, I said it. So we'll move on from there. Let's give it to Michael Kolb. A shout out says Jake is the best fill-in co-host.
Thank you,
I
sir.
must something admit. I don't know what it says.
In
Great
my
job.
Opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that you are a great fill-in. Thanks for joining the pod. I think that one thing that we want to continue to talk about is the dominance that Booker has brought back. He had an awful last game
Yes.
of shooting, but he was back tonight.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Big Dick Booker.
It's a drop over. Okay, so Devin Booker had 26 points tonight, the 5 personal fouls, which he had to be very careful throughout the whole game. And Eddie Johnson let us know and let Devin Booker know from afar, like, oh, just be careful, right? So don't get that 4th foul in the
Yeah.
first half. He did end up with 5 fouls. He had the 8 assists, only 2 turnovers, and 7 rebounds. He was 9 for 21 from the field, 5 for 10 from downtown. He was left open quite a bit from 3 tonight. His resurgence is nice. I saw him kind of joking around with Nurk in the layup line before the game. I don't know how you feel about that. Like, I don't know if you want to take sides of Bud or Nurk, but he was joking around with Nurk, so I don't know. Does that mean
No,
that
it's-
Nurk is
yeah,
right?
it-
I'm just-
It's like when 2 of your family members are fighting, and like at this point, like I still think Nurk could contribute. I think that Bud. I mean, I'm not in the we better fire this coach. We're still 500 type category. So at 3 coaches in 3 years, let's stop that coaching carousel. Let's just stick with somebody. Let's stick with Bud. If we can't get off Nurk's contract, maybe we can. At this point, I hope we do. But if we can't, man, I hope we figure out a way to keep him involved, because there's just no reason to just sit there and let him fester. And I kind of like the book. I don't know. Maybe he was like, hey, you're just going to sit there and pout. Who knows what he was saying? But like,
I'm sure
if they're ribbing each other, maybe that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Book really cares. Book's a chill dude. He's a serious guy, but when it comes to that stuff, I'm sure that
And he
it
likes
doesn't-
trash talking. Yeah.
He
When
doesn't.
he and James Harden got tangled up for the ball, and
Yeah.
Harden's like, clearly he fouled me, and Book's like, whatever, man.
That's always one guy that everyone likes to trash talk with is James Harden, right? Because I
Yes.
feel like Harden never really responds. He just kind of takes it, and he's always just kind of fighting with the refs. It's always bouncing off him.
He
and
does
to
like
the refs.
the real big eyes. Like, I couldn't have done anything. Like,
Yeah.
like I feel after 4 cups of coffee, just wired. There was no way I did it.
Yeah, I think that what Booker has done though, as of late, he's kind of been, obviously he's a starter. He took over Bradley Beal's spot in the 2
This
spot.
was an off game for him from the last 10. Besides the last game, but I mean,
Besides the last game, yeah.
He
He hit some big shots though. So that's the thing about tonight's game. I feel like he hit some big shots tonight in big situations.
Yeah.
That was the difference that stuck out to me. I know the stats don't look as good, but
Hey.
everyone knows I'm not a big stats guy. And I think that, in those situations, can I trust him tonight? Definitely we can trust him, because KD was a little off tonight. He was really struggling. He was quite the beanpole out there, and he was just having a tough time just with everyone kind of swatting the ball away from him. So Book showed up in a big way tonight, but this guy didn't. Except for a few times in the third quarter, I think.
And she said, you're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley. Bo, bo.
Yeah, 9 points tonight for Bradley Beal. He had 0 points until he checked back in at the end of the third quarter. And he had a little run there that really helped the Suns kind of push the lead up. So that's nice to see, right? Because you have Royce O'Neal, who hit some big threes tonight. Grayson Allen was on fire again tonight. And my computer just died, so I don't know what to do with that. Let me take the charger from my phone to this. Why would it die? It has stuff on here. Okay. I thought I had a little bit of charge. Yeah, so I mean, Bradley Beal, man, there's a lot to go around. We're going to talk about basically everything that's happened with the guy, including the fan interaction around his wife and his kid, and how much that was around Twitter today. I don't know if you saw anything about that.
Oh,
It had its
that
go
was
around.
his wife. Oh, I saw Gerald
Yeah,
Bourguet
so
point out something about that. I didn't
Yeah,
realize that
so-
was his wife. That like, oh my gosh.
Well, it was her post. So she posted about it, and it was just a disturbance from a fan that was next to her last game, just basically just cursing his name right next to her and her son, which is Bradley Beal's son as well. So that's one thing, I feel like this happens once or twice a year in the NBA, where these fans get very obnoxious and they continue to just banter these guys on the court, and they're just, they don't let up. And I think if you go to a baseball game and you sit in the outfield, that's all these guys do now. And it's just nonstop, right? But when it comes to the NBA, you're so close. And usually when you're sitting in the front row, there's always going to be a friend or family member of the players. And it's just kind of upsetting, to actually have fans that way to where they don't let up and they continue to just give hell to Bradley Beal on how he's on the bench and he's a bum and stuff like that. Bradley Beal to me, he's really been respectful. I think that he's really handled himself very well in the situation. It's tough. It's really a hit to his ego, like Nurk, but he's done a great job. Tonight, though, when he did come in, he did have the 0 points in the first half. But when you have Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, even though Royce started tonight, Grayson Allen and a Bradley Beal coming off the bench, it's one of those guys are going to hit, two of those guys are going to hit. That's really all you need from the bench. But his performance tonight was pretty bad, except for at times. But your thoughts on just the whole situation? I guess you just are not finding it out right now. But it's a bad look, I think, for the fans. But you drink too much, and that's usually what you do. You think you're just the shit, and you just start talking a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I mean, so it kind of reminds me a little bit of well, I'll put it this way. I'm kind of in between on this too, just because I've been to Suns games and I've sat close. I remember So Says Jay of Fanning the Flames and we went to the first round when we took on the New Orleans Pelicans, I think 2 years ago, I want to say, 2-3 years ago. And we were like 6th row behind the basket or something like that. And I was taunting the Pelicans. Now, it was funny because I was booing, I was yelling, I wasn't like cursing or anything, but I was making lots of noise, and I'd see kind of people like turn to me and be like, that's not how we act here. And they were kind of like golf clapping when we do something nice and all this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, there's like fireworks going off pregame. Our team is in the playoffs. I want a home court advantage. I want to get psyched. I don't ever want to boo my team and my players. That doesn't make any sense to me. Beal's been nothing but classy since he came to the Valley. And at the end of the day, I hope it works for him on the bench. Most likely, I think he's going to be sent out. And I've got no disappointment in Bradley Beal. I'm disappointed it didn't work out. That's the only thing I'm disappointed in. But I don't think him as a character or as a player even is it. That's not where I'm not like, oh man, Bradley Beal, what a terrible player. He's not a terrible player. He's still a good player, but we just can't have him with Tyus and Book and Durant. It's just not a good fit. So, I mean, his whole family, he spent almost a decade in Washington, and then he gets traded out to Phoenix. Been here a little over a year. So, yeah, I mean, that's Bush League stuff to sit there and to, I don't know if the fan knew that it was his wife and kid. I hope that he didn't. If it's something like under his breath, like, Bradley's playing terrible tonight. If it's something like that, I guess I could kind of understand it. But, like, you're a fan. If you're at the game, cheer your team on. Boo the other team. Tell them they're terrible. Amir Coffee, you suck. Something like that. I don't know if we would ever go after role players. But, something like that. And so, yeah, if and when Bradley moves on from Phoenix, I wish him absolutely nothing but the best. I don't think he's done anything to let this team down. It just didn't work.
Yeah, and if he didn't play like a bum, it wouldn't happen. I'm just joking. He's been actually pretty decent enough. Good. He's been good coming off.
That's what I told your wife. No,
he's helping the team. I think there's the other thing we want to talk about too. I don't know if you know about the Zach LaVine news where Bradley Beal might have been interested in going to Chicago. Now it's released today that he did not want to lift his no trade clause to go to Chicago or to go anywhere. So right now, I don't know where you're at with this whole trade thing. I'll give you my thoughts if you want to kind of just spew them out a little bit. Just just let us know where you're at. If you don't mind having Beal the rest of the season, or are you actually looking for a trade just to get out of the contract? Where's your mind at with the whole thing?
Like I said, I like Bradley Beal. If he stays, I'm okay with it. I hope we can do something with him, though. I would prefer to move him at this point. And I think it's best for him and for this franchise. That's where I'm at. Us to just get off that contract that has that no trade, even if it is for a Zach LaVine, who was really not great last year. He's very good this year. So you don't know which one you're going to get. Hopefully the good one. But, the whole like, oh, he's not interested in waiving it for Chicago. And then I also read, or for like cold weather cities. I'm just like, well, every place is cold right now. Chicago will get warmer as the season goes on. But I don't know. Like I heard it rumored that maybe to the Bucks. Milwaukee's further north than Chicago is. It's going to be cold there too. But, I like the idea in my head of Dame Lillard getting kind of that CJ McCollum type two-guard to play with him. And then instead of having Nurk as their third best player, like in the Portland Trailblazer days when they went to the playoffs a few times, they'll have Giannis. And I think that could be a good shot for the Bucks. So for them, I hope, I hope Beal does get moved and we acquire somebody. Whether it's Zach LaVine, which gives us a little bit more flexibility moving forward. Jimmy, still flexibility because it's probably not going to be a no trade clause. But I'm a little bit worried about like doubling down on this, what feels like a very old team at that point. So yeah, I'm okay. I prefer to move him though. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Ozzy Subs fans does say, Beal hasn't pulled a Jay Crowder or Jimmy Butler. So, Jimmy Butler right now, he's suspended indefinitely from the Miami Heat. So you don't even know what's going to go on there. Obviously, I don't know if that really counts towards the Suns. If he were to be traded, I think that kind of just falls off, obviously. But so we don't have to worry about that. But I think we're kind of just losing interest in Jimmy as it goes, just because when Nurk does talk about the chaos, I think we all know there's chaos behind every scene when it comes to NBA teams. And the Suns with Kevin Durant and Booker, there's going to be some chaos. With Jimmy Butler and kind of just his antics of late, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm kind of on just like, let's ride this out with Beal. I know the contract situation does suck, but maybe in the offseason they can figure something out. Because I think with Jimmy, it doesn't make us a title contender still. I think Zach LaVine playing the three would be a better threat. It would give us more of an opportunity to maybe go further in the playoffs. But he's a guy that needs to handle the ball a lot more, I feel like, too. So the whole situation just it sucks a little bit, but I'm kind of just down, like looking at the road where it's just like leading towards like, hey, let's just ride this out with Beal coming off the bench. Let's just see what that's like. Just because I feel like our options aren't that great. The only thing is, of course, the contract, and that's the only reason. But I mean, if we're winning games now, what are we now, like 8-3 or something, or 9-4? Since we've had Beal come off the bench, like something great.
Right.
So obviously the competition hasn't been stellar, but in a game like this tonight, you kind of saw like how the Suns can kind of put their like foot on the throat on one of these pretty good teams out west. It's the competition coming up. It's gonna be there. So just see how the Suns respond in each game. I'm kind of in the favor of it, just kind of keeping it right now because I'm just kind of sick of all of it. But if they can just quietly pull the trade and get Zach LaVine here, I'll be okay with that. There was another comment to Todd Peterson. I think Todd Peterson does say Nurk could have helped tonight. I think that too. I thought that in the first half. I'm like, this is the perfect game for Nurk to come in and get his bum booty off the chair. So
Well, he's still
I'm not
reconditioning.
asleep right
He had
now.
a terrible
Yeah.
flu, a real bad flu, the worst flu ever. No,
Yeah,
I'll
it
just
was,
comment.
well, it's been
Everyone's
going around.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah.
everyone's been talking about this Jimmy Butler. Like, well, look at him; he's walking out of practice. He's a locker room cancer. Look at all the teams he's played for. I don't know. I think, honestly, if you look at his career, every team that he gets frustrated with is because they're not winning. He wants to win. Like he calls out his teammates for not playing better. And now, granted, he's getting a little older, so he's not as good as he once was. But I don't know about you, but I've been very frustrated since Kevin Durant has arrived, not with Kevin's play per se, but just like this whole, we ball and we chill, and Booker really likes to ball and chill now too. And it's just like, I need a little less chill and a little bit more Jimmy Butler yelling at people. And I would like to, if those guys don't mind getting pushed around, I think that somebody like a Kevin Durant might not be the most vocal leader, but I think Jimmy would have a hard time calling him out and being like, this team doesn't even want to win. Kevin Durant sucks.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to say that, but he's going to push these guys to play hard. People forget that the Heat went from the 8th seed in the East to the finals. And it was kind of Jimmy Butler dragging his team there. Not saying he can do that with the Suns, but I'll put it this way. I see the benefits of, hey, let's hang tight. Bradley's doing all right. He seems to still love life. He's not pulling a Nurk.
Yeah.
But I do think Butler gives us not a great chance, but a better chance for sure.
Yeah, especially with Grayson Allen really stepping up. We're going to talk about him too. So let's hit that drop.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, hi, Alan.
Grayson Allen, affectionate guy.
Grayson Allen tonight, was in his spot tonight. He had 18 points, 6 of 10 shooting, 4 for 7 from three, 6 rebounds. He was definitely where we wanted him to be, and I think that he was a huge factor in them kind of in stretches when we needed someone to knock down a few shots. He was there, right? Bradley Beal at the end of the third stepped up, but throughout the game, multiple times, Grayson Allen played huge minutes for the Suns tonight. And that's why it's so scary when you look at those three guys coming off the bench. With Ryan Dunn being healthy, obviously you have Royce O'Neal coming off the bench, but those are just three lights out shooters. And Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, and Royce O'Neal. Bradley Beal tonight, though, obviously was not hitting. So with Grayson Allen stepping up, that gave the Suns a huge boost and much needed 3 pointers. I think that, Grayson Allen's had the up and down year. He's had obviously a baby, and it's probably been an adjustment because he's probably a good father, and maybe he does stay home and take care of his kids, right? When they're this little. But I don't know what the other guys do. Don't they have a bunch of kids and they just don't care?
Games.
Yeah,
I can see DA being
wait till they're walking.
Dad,
and
I'm really
okay.
excited, but keep it down. I'm playing 2K.
Yeah, play.
And Grayson's
That's
probably
why
like,
he was tired.
sweetheart,
Yeah.
I'm an NBA player. Well, it's your turn to change his diaper at 4 a.m. Good God. That's why he's got so much gray hair now. Have you noticed that?
I know.
Like,
Well, that's what I was
aging
going to say.
before.
He has the wear and tear, I feel like,
Yeah.
of his new father. So good for him tonight. I think that
It looks
he
like
is.
those people that have served as president. They go in, they look like, a real young guy, and then they come
Yeah.
out, and they're just like, 4 years.
Yeah, they
It's
go
like,
in
I don't
2
recognize
terms,
this
and then you think Jennifer Aniston was in the second or first term of Barack Obama? You think the second term?
Wait, Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah, didn't you hear about that?
No, what?
Oh, yeah, it's all over the news. I don't think Michelle Obama's even sleeping at the house right now. I'm serious. You can look it up.
Stop. You and going back to this KD hates white centers.
Well, he does, man. He's anybody else. Anyways, I'm allowed to say that, I think. So I think that anyways, so
Well, how about a little
what about Grayson Allen, man? Huh?
Yeah. So just so you know, Grayson Allen, you're right. Up and down season, right? We've talked about this a little bit on my podcast, Suns Jam. Your Suns Jam. How about Suns Planet? Suns
Well,
Planet
you
on
pretty much
Saturdays.
are. You've been on it as much as I have. So
Well, there you go.
It is. It's Jake and Matthew.
Yeah,
Suns
there you
Jam.
go. That's right.
Yeah.
Boom. But I was frustrated. I was like, oh, Grayson coming off the bench. It's just he's not as lights out as he was last year. And this muscle Grayson, I don't know, maybe like he was chucking it too hard. Over the last 10 games, if my quick count was right, 31 of 58 for over a 53% shooting percentage from 3-point range. I'd say Grayson's back, baby. And
He's been a killer.
He's just like, the frustrating thing, that's not a way to describe it, but he's on a tradable contract. I just hope that we hold out. If somebody's really trying to fish him away from the Suns, we've got to hold out for some really nice stuff, because Grayson Allen, man, he doesn't have to be your sixth man, but seventh or eighth, you are living in luxury with a shooter like that. Good defender, maybe not elite, but good, and just a smart player. Like, he knows when to take it in, draw contact, and he'll trip guys when necessary. So
Yeah, he definitely will. He'll play it off. I think that the way the Suns are headed right now with Nick Richards, they have the center that he can rim run, he can cause some chaos down there. The offense, he can just tell, is really spreading the ball well. There's a lot of spacing. They're playing at a different level. They're playing at a different speed. They have a guy, Nick, and I always want to call him Nick Nurse, Nick Richards, that he thought he got fouled in the first quarter, going up for it looked like it was just kind of a lay-in. He was complaining, but he ran back down and got the block on James Harden. Like, that's the difference in this team right now, right? Because Nurk would have just laid back and been pissed off. He would have just missed the whole play defensively. And those are the plays that kill us in the past this season, where it'd be 1 or 2 plays back to back where they make boneheaded mistakes. And now they're not doing it because they have like a complete real roster. That's why I'm just saying, like, I know I want to see another 5 or 6 games against the competition.
Yeah.
OKC's coming up. Minnesota's up and down. Who knows who's going to show up next game? But let me just see some more with this team because I'm not saying they're a title contender, but it just makes sense now. And they have a full roster that has a good bench. It can be a great bench, and there's obviously the 2 stars that can really step up. But I don't know, man. I think that if they make a few other adjustments here or there, it'd be a team actually that's worth rooting for,
Yeah.
that we're actually enjoying now because I have a little bit more enjoyment. And this is the first game this season where I was actually talking shit to TV and like gave a fuck. Like usually I'm like, Suns, I don't care. They're gonna fucking lose. But I was into it tonight. This is the first game in forever that I was. And
Mhm.
I don't want the Jamsters to be like, oh Matthew, it's because you don't watch fucking games. It's like, yeah, I don't because I don't pay my internet bill and I have to travel across country to go. But no, I think that this is the first time where I was excited for this game. I was like,
Mhm.
I want to see this team, and I was very pleasantly surprised that they actually kept my expectations
Yeah.
high and just kind of delivered tonight. So
Well, I think I'm right there with you. You know, we got the T-Wolves up next, Warriors 2 times against the Blazers, and then the Thunder, then the trade deadline.
yeah.
I want to see what the trajectory of this team is now with Beal coming off the bench, Nick Richards starting. I want to see, are we still going to be 500? Are we going to drop this next one to the Wolves, maybe beat the Warriors and the Blazers, lose to the Thunder? Well, you know, then maybe nothing's really changing and we got to get a little desperate. Are we going to beat the Timberwolves, beat the Warriors, beat the Blazers, at least stay competitive with the Thunder? I mean, then we might sit there and say, well, okay, would we feel comfortable enough to let this ride? So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, no, this was a big game because it feels like, you know, after that, with that East Coast road trip and then finishing up with the Wizards visiting us in Phoenix, I was just like, I can't grade this team at all right now. Like, if you lose, that's terrible. And if you win, I'm going to say, like, not complete. Like, I can't give you any positive flow to it. But this was a great building block. We thought that of the Pistons before the Cavs just smoked us. So do we carry this in with a little momentum to the Timberwolves? If we beat the T-Wolves, Suns fans, we might just start getting that like tingliness in our fingers again. When we start to think that, oh, okay, we're going the right way. By the way, I have to point out, you said, you know, a team worth rooting for. All the Australians in the chat are laughing at us apparently because apparently we're not supposed to say we root for this team because it means something, I don't know, inappropriate? I'm sure they'll tell us.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us in the chat. Sorry, I have I'm trying to look at the chat while I do this, but let me see. I didn't see anything yet. But yeah, let us know, Aussies fans, as I call them. Not Aussie Suns fans, just Aussie fans. Let's do subreddit without this guys.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
All right, so was that the right drop? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, although I was thinking about it as I was watching it, you know, I've watched that a million times. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Jay Crowder's got the mask on. There's another guy in that drop, and I don't recognize him.
Let's
Can you
see.
play it again?
Oh, one more time. Oh,
Who's the
that
guy
guy. I think that's probably Book's friend, or maybe it's just someone sitting next to him. Who
Oh, okay.
knows? Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Well, that was what, Summer League?
No, I think that was actually when they were going to the Mercury games. So what we do here in Arizona is we support each other's teams in the playoffs, and we end up just
Aw.
losing always. So it doesn't even matter. So subreddit this is probably my favorite comment of the year. So someone said, "Grab your Glocks when you see Zupac." That's pretty good. Remember from Tupac? Grab your Glocks when you see Tupac. Remember that one song?
I don't remember
Him
that one.
I'm saying it terribly.
That's just the way it is.
But
No,
no, it was a different one. If you guys are, if you guys Jamsters, Tupac fans, that was a good one. My heart just fucking sank. Fuck you, Plumlee. So when Plumlee passed that ball, when he passed the ball to KD and KD dropped it and was behind him, everyone just started saying "fuck you, Plumlee." Like they're just so mad at him. And I was like, wait, hold on, does he have like a secret 10 points or like some offensive rebounds? I don't know. Like it's like
No.
0-0. They're just mad at him. And fuck you, Plumlee.
Yeah. He
Plumlee.
shot one shot, he missed it. That's Mason Plumlee. Yeah. In 26 minutes of playing, he had 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 turnovers. I don't know why anyone would be upset with Mason Plumlee, except for maybe completing 1 successful offensive possession.
Yeah, I know. Well, Kawhi started out a little rough today. He did finish with 7 to 17 shooting and 17 points, but there was a lot of talk about Kawhi is drunk. And then we lose this game. Kawhi's been asked the last couple of games. So Kawhi's been coming back. You don't really notice him because he's only playing about maybe 20 minutes per game. So tonight he did play, let me see, he did have 27 minutes. So he was averaging about 20 minutes per game, maybe a little bit over 10 points per game. So he's building up those minutes, trying to get ready post All-Star break to maybe make a run with this team. Obviously, they're a little dangerous with him healthy. But yeah, there's a lot of talk about them just kind of being skeptical of him being on the team and just being healthy and ready. Any thoughts on the Clippers side of things at all? Is it just like any other year, which is like they got to be healthy? Norman Powell's going to be an
Right.
all-star, leading the team in points. Like, how much do you believe in this team? Because
No, yeah.
I don't.
No, exactly. Well, so I kind of had a quick breakdown on the Shooters Lounge today. I was doing double podcast duty today. So shout out to the Shooters Lounge and Matt from the United Kingdom. But
Jealous.
yeah, no, we were kind of discussing, okay, there's league leaders, there's your Cavs, your Celtics, your Oklahoma City Thunder, got teams that can compete for the title. Then I said, the Suns, we're going to find out real quick here around the trade deadline. Are we going to be in that puncher's chance type contendership? Like, it doesn't look great, but right matchup, if somebody's injured, we might find ourselves there. The Cavs are, I feel like they're slated to go into the playoffs right now. And I feel like they don't have a puncher's chance. I feel like a healthy Kawhi Leonard does not get it done for them. And that's not even a real thing anymore. There is no healthy Kawhi Leonard. You cannot go to the finals with Norman Powell as your elite scorer. And don't get me wrong, I love a Norman Powell. I think he's a good player. But I just, it'd be tough for me as a Clippers fan right now because it would remind me a little bit like the Suns era before Steve Nash, where it was like Jason Kidd and Clifford Robinson, and where it was part of like 10, 12 years of making the playoffs, but it was always a first or second round exit. That's exactly what I see happening to the Clippers this year, is that they're unfortunately, they're kind of that, what we always say in the NBA, you either want to have a chance to compete for a title or you want to be terrible and get a top draft pick.
Yeah.
Clippers are just above average,
Always.
but they're just not going to be able to have enough.
The Intuit Dome, which is an incredible arena. Did you know they're actually last in the league in attendance?
What?
Yeah. No one goes to the games. That's the one thing we talked about because the
Is it like
location.
too expensive, or
It's expensive and the location is it's terrible and it's the Clippers. So no one's gonna go to the game. But
I can't believe the Knicks have better attendance than them. I know it's New York, but like everyone hates
Wow.
their owner. The tickets are overpriced. Like the
Well, the
Clippers, you can
Knicks,
charge your phone at the game. Everyone could have their own podcast there.
yeah, I don't know. I think the Clippers arena is incredible. I think once you go once, you're like, okay, what? So expensive, not gonna do that again.
Mm.
And it is the Clippers. I just before the jam start, I just want to we'll probably be done here in about 8 minutes or so. But before the jam start, I want to kind of run down the Western standings, the teams that are in the top 10, and I just want to get you, and I just want to get an idea of what you, I guess, think of like an actual contender, but also just do you think the Suns have a chance against this team currently? The way the Suns are playing, winning 3 in a row, they're 8-2 in the last 10. Do you think the Suns have a fighter's chance against these teams in the playoffs currently? So Thunder, no, right?
No.
Okay. The Rockets, no.
Yeah,
I don't know. You think? Yeah.
I don't believe in the Rockets right now. Yeah,
They got that young juice in them right now. Yeah,
they do, but I feel like if Jabari Smith is injured, I mean that really hasn't slowed him down too much. But if you're relying on Dylan Brooks at some point, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Okay.
So I think the
say
Rockets
no.
are like where the Thunder were a year or two ago.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I feel like they're going to ride it out, which they should. They should not make a trade for anybody. Just ride it out with what you have right now. The Grizzlies, I don't think the Suns will beat the Grizzlies. Too big.
Yeah.
Too much defense.
Yeah.
Nuggets, no. Yes, I think there's a chance with the Nuggets. I'm always iffy with them. I say yes, there's a chance.
The way the Joker's been playing, though, I don't feel comfortable with it like I would have in the past,
Yeah, he's just making full court shots. And then we got the Lakers. I say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair shot.
Clippers, yes.
Yep.
Timberwolves, yes. We'll see tomorrow,
Well,
but
yeah.
I think there's a chance there. I know how last year ended. Obviously, I didn't want to play the Timberwolves in the first round, but I just think there's something with the Timberwolves. Obviously, this year they don't have last year. That was Towns who
Right.
just decimated the Suns in the first round.
Mhm.
The Mavericks and the Kings. I say no to the Mavericks. I say yes, we can beat the Kings.
I think we can beat the Well, I mean, depends. You know, I don't. I'll be honest. I think we could beat the Mavericks, even at full
You think so?
strength Mavericks.
Okay.
I don't know if there was a team on from the team from last year that I was just like, how are they winning? It was the Mavericks, and I know it sounds silly because like, hey, they made the finals, like they were competitive, obviously.
Yeah.
I just think that we can match up with them because they're. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I think we could beat them. You know, I think because their strengths really, you know, like they don't go inside like Joker, for example. We're hoping that Nick Richards can hold on to him, right?
Yeah.
You know, Chet Holmgren, where you know is going to pull Nick Richards outside. The Rockets, Alfred Şengün is going to cause problems. I'm not as worried about Derek Lively and Daniel Giffords. So no, I'd feel better about going up against the Mavericks for sure.
All right. So one last question. Who do you have winning the title? There's 35 games left in the season. Who do you have winning the title as of right now?
Ooh, as of right now,
Is it going to be like the Cavs and the Thunder? You just picking the Thunder overall? Is there like a sneaky pick? If you don't choose the Thunder, who would you choose besides the Thunder?
that's
You
tough. It's tough. It's tough to buy in to some of these teams because of kind of you're always worried about that fool's gold.
Yeah.
So I would tonight. I'm going to lean towards a Boston Celtics Denver Nuggets matchup.
Okay.
I
Nice and
think
boring.
there's a lot to be said because we saw it a lot with the Suns, you know, before we got Kevin Durant, when it was Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre Ayton, and Book and Chris Paul. Like we're so young, we don't have a lot of like experience in the playoffs, and so we had kind of that concerns. And I think there is something to be said about veteran teams that know what they're doing in there. So yeah, I think the Rockets, Grizzlies, Thunder, until they prove it to me, I'm just not ready to say they're for sure making the West. They're going to represent the West.
All right, nice. Before the season, I did choose the Grizzlies to win the title. I'm still sticking with that.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that. I think, you know, no one's talking about them. I think he's still amazing. He's not obviously in the MVP running, but why not? Towards the end of the year, I feel like he's gonna have a pretty good case to be a top 5 MVP candidate. But let's do GM Star.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jeffsters, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and review the pod. If you haven't hit the like button, please do right now. We appreciate you sticking along. Looks like there's about 15,000 of you watching almost right now, more than the Intuit Dome attendees.
Well, it's because it's so much more affordable.
It's just a lot easier just to watch us in the Clippers game. Tonight, actually, I'm gonna give it to Grayson Allen. I think he was really huge tonight. I think he came up with big spots for the Suns. Overall, Book had, I think, probably the best game statistically. But I'm gonna go Grayson Allen tonight off the bench because I feel like I haven't given it to him all year. Maybe I have probably 10 times, but we'll give it to him one more time.
No, that's a good choice. I'm gonna I guess maybe throw a curveball at you here. I'm gonna go with Mr. Tyus Jones.
Nice.
Not a terrible game. 17 points on 5 of 8 from 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Anytime Tyus Jones gets a rebound, I feel like something terrible must have happened on the play. But you know, he was able to grab 5 of them. He was shooting well, moving well, and I feel like the last handful of games we've been wondering, like, do we got to send him out, you know, and just kind of see what we can get in terms of the trade market. So it was good to see a productive Tyus Jones out there.
Yeah, and I think overall effort, it was huge. We got the last 2 minutes or so left in the pod, and John did join us. John, how was the beer flowing over there at Footprint Center tonight?
Would you fuck nuts? end this thing so I can scrape the audio and post it and go to bed.
That way, look at how
look at him. He's got his Nurkic attitude and his look on. You know,
he's Mr. Purple, not Mr. Orange tonight. So that's good.
Proud of my team.
John is owning the Mr. Purple name, not the Mr. Orange.
Well, yeah, we're the Phoenix Suns podcast, the OG Planet Purple.
Yeah. John, anything you want to give us? From the game? Any how did Shannon? Did she make it through the whole game? Did she fall asleep?
No, it was no. She stayed up. She stayed awake. It was an exciting game. I mean, it was frustrating there in the fourth quarter when we gave up a 16-4 run. It was frustrating. I had some people I was talking to at the game, and we were up 13 at halftime. They're like, "Oh, how you feeling?" I'm like, "Do you watch the Suns? I feel like nothing. Like we have to come out in the third quarter and play
like
well,
nothing.
and we didn't.
I feel no feelings.
I feel nothing. I a feeling I don't feel. Let me go ahead and just do that. There we go. It's the right overlay there. Teach you guys how to use overlays later. But yeah, I mean, and then the fourth quarter kind of happened. We went up 13. We were up 103-90, and then that's when that 16-4 run happened. And next thing you know, it's 107-106, and it was kind of just like, oh, this is the Suns. I mean, this is our team. But they're stacking wins. It's an 8-2 over the last 10 games. This is a quality win. I would say our second quality win in that 10-game stretch, including the game against Detroit. And obviously a big game coming up on Wednesday, but that's all you can ask for. You know, it's you gotta. You know, it's kind of like, you guys ever seen Gladiator or Gladiator 2? And Marcus Aurelius, he's like, there's a vision that is Rome, but it's so delicate. It's so fragile. You can only whisper it. Like, that's the momentum the Suns have right now. You can only barely whisper it because it's so fragile. Because if you start to get excited about any momentum, if you get excited about an 8-2 run by the Suns, it's fragile and it'll break, and they'll come out against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they'll lay an egg. So one game at a time, winning, and that's what we have to do, is we have to win these games, and mission accomplished tonight.
Yeah, you just whispering that, man, you just destroyed the whole season. So, and I was
I shouldn't have whispered
how
it.
excited I was. So I feel like I destroyed it as soon as we started this pod, because I'm very high on this team right now. I was talking about who we can beat
Really?
in the playoffs. So yeah, you came in at the right time after you got done with that shit.
Jake, is that legit? Was he really saying that shit?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, I said we could beat every team.
This is.
Oh, there was a lot of them we have a shot against. Yeah. Well, and I'm also wondering, if we get Jimmy Butler, does he show up like Maximus Decimus Meridius and go, "Are you not entertained?"
Yes.
And all of a sudden we start shouting a little bit instead of whispering the idea.
He's like, "I am Jimmy Butler, father to a murdered franchise, husband to a murdered trade clause, and I will have my vengeance in this season or the next."
All right, are these Braveheart quotes, or what's going on?
No, this is Gladiator quotes.
Oh, come on. Just watch a movie once and end it. All right, well, I think I'm going to get out of here and go to sleep.
Movie rewatcher?
Oh, man. I watch Gladiator all the time. Well, Matthew,
John, you got anything else, Jake?
I did get you a Bright Side Night t-shirt because I was at the game and I met up with Connor from the Suns. So thank you to Connor for hooking us up with those Bright Side Night t-shirts, because neither of us can make it to Bright Side Night this year. Notre Dame was playing Penn State that night. And also shout out to Buzz RX. Thank you for hosting me in your suite tonight. That was very nice.
Very good. Well, thank you for everybody joining tonight. Thank you, Jamsters, for watching. Make sure to like right now, subscribe right now if you haven't. We will see you after the Timberwolves game Wednesday nights. They do play at 7 o'clock, right? Or is it 8 o'clock start? I feel like we
That's
have a late
7
start.
o'clock. We have late starts once we go on the road because it's a West Coast swing. But you're covering that game, right? So
I am, yeah.
Creds.
Yep. I'll be at next game.
We make plans on the pod, Jake. That's what we do. We don't talk.
Yeah, that's what we do. The last 10 minutes is all for family plans and pod plans. And
I
just,
made trade decisions at the last second as well. That honestly, do you see what I did with Colombia? Shut them down. Shut them down. Colombia, take your people back. I'm like Moses, getting the people out of Egypt. Colombia, take them back. We got it done.
I'm
all right.
Love you guys.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.